Valentine's Day has come and gone, but for many of us, we are still looking for love, and we might be able to use the planets and astrology to help us better understand ourselves and future relationships. And here to help us understand is astrologer Stephanie Gailing. Welcome back to New Day.
Thank you, Kelly.
Oh my gosh, you know I love when you're on, and so I can't wait to hear your thoughts. First, what benefits does astrology have when it comes to helping people find love?
Yeah, so astrology is an incredible language to help us become more aware of who we are, what we need, and what we desire, right? So the more we know that about ourselves, we can then better understand how to be in a healthy relationship and also who it may be that really matches and supports us.
Ooh. Okay. And are there any concerns with people using astrology for insights or their decision with their love life?
Absolutely, and what that comes down to is when people make a judgment on somebody else's sun sign.
Yes.
You know, they may say, let's say, I'm an Aries and that person's a Virgo. Aries and Virgo are bad matches, and then they discount that. Or alternatively, two signs are good matches, and they don't look into the whole picture. Right? The whole picture of what other planets do you have and that are really strong for you that actually may have you be a really good match with that other person. So when people make a very quick judgment, I'm always like, no, wait. You know, both get to know the other person and also maybe understand more about your astrology and their astrology.
Yeah, we need more information than you're just a Capricorn and like opposites, because to your point, like I feel like I had some friends where they had to book and they would see something and they're like, oh, you guys aren't going to work out then because you're these two signs, but we need to dig a little deeper.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And which other planets then, speaking of that, can we look at in our chart to better understand not only our own personal love, but beyond?
Yeah, so what we should look at, besides your sun sign, is look at your moon sign and the other person's moon sign. You know, the moon is what nourishes me? What do I need? What has me feel good? Like how we orient emotionally. So the moon, Venus, the planet of love.
Yes.
You know, what is beautiful to you? You know, what is your value? You know, are your values in alignment? And finally, I would say Mars. Mars is the planet that helps us to understand what we desire, what turns us on, what lights us up, right? And so, you know, having it be in alignment with your Mars and their Mars is really important.
Yeah, and so I want to understand too how we find these placements then, because to your point, most people, including myself, I feel like only really know my sun sign and nothing else. So how else can I find everything?
Right, because most people know their sun sign because all you need to know is your birthday, right?
Yeah,
and it's
true.
really easily accessible to know that. And yet now there's so many resources where you can find the placement of those other planets. So there's apps like the Chani app and CoStar. There's a great website called astro.com. All of these are free resources, and all you do is put in your birthday, year, time of birth, and place, and you'll readily get that information about you, as well as potentially for the person that you're interested in.
Ooh, okay. And you mentioned Venus too earlier, and I know that people speak a lot about Mercury retrograde, yet there's something called Venus retrograde. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so Venus goes into its retrograde cycle every year and a half. And we are on the heels of that. This time it will begin on March 1st and go through April 12th. So what is Venus retrograde?
I know, I'm like, what does that all mean
exactly. Venus retrograde is a 6-week period where we are called to reevaluate what we value, including what we want from a relationship, how we stand in a relationship. So oftentimes during Venus retrograde, people may find themselves having different questions about their partnership than they may have had. Does this really work for me? Or did I discount this? And actually now I'm seeing from another angle that this is something that actually really supports me. So I always say to people during Venus retrograde, like, take a different stance and look at your relationships differently. Or if you're not in a relationship and you're looking to be in a relationship, even sort of question like, this is the assumptions I have about how I want to show up in a relationship, who the person is that I'm usually attracted to. See if you can look at that differently, because that time period opens up a new vantage point that really allows us to stand in relationships in a way that will really reward and reward us and help us to flourish.
Yeah, and what should people kind of be aware of if they are single and looking at, signs and things like that? Is there something we should be thinking about?
Yeah, I would say a couple of things. One is there's definitely different times of the year where relationships are heightened. For example, like when the sun is in the opposite sign. If you are, what's your sign?
I'm a Cancer.
You're a Cancer, that's right.
And that's all I know. See, and I need to know more information
Yes.
with but now I know I need to figure out when I was born.
Exactly.
The time specifically.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and then you could readily access that information.
Okay.
So for you as a Cancer, when the sun is in Capricorn, it's the opposite sign. So it's the end of December to the end of January. For Cancers, that's the time where, it's not the only time where relationships will flourish, but it's really where there's this strong attention to partnerships, allyships, and being with other people. And so what I would say is, and this is very easy because you don't need to know your moon and your Venus and your Mars sign, know your sun sign, and then think about the opposite sign. So Aries and Libra, Taurus and Scorpio, Gemini and Sagittarius, Cancer and Capricorn, Leo and Aquarius, and Virgo and Pisces. So when the sun is in the opposite of your sun sign, that's the time for really getting more insights into your relationships.
What would you say to any skeptics or anything too? Is there anything you want them to know if they don't always maybe believe in this?
Yeah, I would say, one, see what astrology, again, beyond your sun sign. Just read about the different signatures of yourself and see how that lands. How does that reflect to you in alliance with what you know about yourself and maybe speak to you so that you can understand yourselves better? And also, again, we talked about this earlier, don't make a judgment just on somebody else's sun sign. That is a part of them, but not to say I'm of this sun sign, they're that, I'm going to discount that, right? Get to really know a person from a holistic perspective, and then also then see how the astrology can help you understand yourself, understand them, and also see how you can both understand each other so that you can be able to better communicate and better be in alliance.
Wow, amazing. As always, Stephanie, I love when you're here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.